February 8th minutes. Any changes?
Have none.
Only none.
As always, stand as read. Next item on the agenda, January 2024 financial statement.
Thank you. This is a report of financial summaries for revenue and expenditures. City of Hayes month ended January 31, 2024. Revenues in January totaled $7.7 million. That's an increase of $359,000 compared to the period last year. Notable areas of increased revenue, a good portion of the increase is from the FAA, an amount of $269,000 for grant reimbursement on the SRE building project. Public safety revenues increased $90,000 from a Department of Justice grant received to fund body cameras for police. A couple of decreases to mention: commission capital reserve fell $408,000 due to the repayment of the early defeasance of the Home Depot bonds at this time last year, and the Home Depot TIF proceeds fell $77,000 in connection with that for the final payment on that. Sports complex revenue was off $8,000 due simply to the timing of the ARC donation last year. Expenditures in January totaled $3.9 million. That's an increase of $988,000. Some notable increases: health insurance was up $149,000 due simply to the timing of premiums paid. Same with library and library employee benefits. That increased $1.34 million due to timing of their allocation. Public Works Service Division equipment expense was up $53,000 for traffic signal upgrades, and general supplies were up $17,700 for salt during snow and ice operations. Notable areas of decreases: airport fund contingency was off $14,000 due to a hangar purchase a year ago, and airport improvement dropped $43,700 for the purchase of a pickup last year. Home Depot expenditures were down $408,000. That's referenced earlier with the defeasance on those bonds. And new equipment reserve expenditures fell $201,500 due primarily to the purchase of a Ravo street sweeper a year ago. Month-to-date general fund sales tax collections were at $747,600. That's an increase of $6,900, or basically flat from last year. The 6-month average is at 4.65. It's a year-over-year increase of 1.47, and month-to-date county sales tax collections were at $88,700. The report of top 10 quarter-to-date sales tax collections by classification was up $67,600, or 2%. Those now represent 74% of the total. Total par value of U.S. Treasuries for January was $40.855 million, with a weighted average yield to maturity of 4.5%, up 1.3 from a year ago. The total of the portfolio certificates of deposit on January 31 was $28,600,000, with an weighted average rate of maturity of 5%. Total balance of the money market account on January 31 was $5.5 million, with a current yield of 4.158. That's up 2%. Total investments were down $449,536.
Move to approve the financial statement.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Reuter,
Yes.
second by Commissioner Jacobs. Any questions? On the sales tax, it seems like we're not necessarily down, but have you seen, is it going down even more? Or I know
Flat is good.
Flat is
Yeah,
good.
It's not
Flat is-
negative.
That's good.
Haven't received February yet.
Okay.
Should in the next few days.
Yeah, flat is good, you're right. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda would be approval of the consent agenda. I have a couple approvals for Natasha Cecil for Holiday Express, this to the Hayes CVB Board, and Stacy Smith.
Move approval of the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Reuter. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda would be water conservation update in 2024 programs. Holly Dickman, welcome.
Good afternoon. Holly Dickman, Water Conservation Specialist for the City of Hayes. And I'm here again. Feels like I was here not long ago, but this year flew by. So I'm here to talk primarily about 2023. And I always like to start these presentations with a flash to the past and just talk about how quickly things can change. So about this time of year, 12 years ago, we were, or actually, yeah, that's right, 12 years ago, we were abnormally dry. By August, exceptional drought, and one of the worst droughts that we've experienced. And so here's where we stood last year at this time. Not great. We weren't great last year, but come to current times, and we are doing good. So remember that map from 2012, though, things could change very quickly. So I just always like to point out how quickly things can change. But currently, we're just abnormally dry. So I'll take it. No red on the map. The seasonal drought outlook for this area is in our favor. It says that drought should improve or should go away. So hopefully that's correct. This is through the end of May. Again, things can change in Kansas, so we'll see what brings our way on this spring. As far as rainfall goes, 2023 was again below average, but not as bad as 2022. So hopefully we're moving in the right direction. So far this year, we're at 2.49 inches of moisture for 2024, which is above average. So hopefully we'll keep that trend going. The rainfall we received before that snow was a big blessing, so we will take that. Moving on to the rebate programs for 2023. Toilets, which are one of our more popular rebate programs, was down in 2023. We had 176 total replaced. 49% of those were the 0.8 gallon per flush toilets, however, so that's good. That is the most efficient toilet you can purchase right now. So, washing machines, 96 washing machine rebates were issued. That is up. We had 2 new rebates for 2023. If you recall, we talked about those last year, Smart Irrigation Controller and Rain Sensor Shutoff. Unfortunately, I didn't have any requests for rebates on those programs. So we will keep promoting that. I don't know. We'll keep promoting it, and hopefully we'll get some traction going this year. The big winner in my mind was turf conversions for 2023. It was a huge year for that. We had 41 pre-inspections done. 23 of those have been completed in 2023, and I've got 17 pending. So you can see just the square footage alone there was much, much higher than the year before. And the popularity of Bermuda grass is becoming, I think, a trend. So I'm seeing more just straight turf to turf conversions, which I like to see because I think that's our biggest bang for the buck there, going from that cool season grass to a warm season grass. So hopefully we'll see more of that in 2024. Shower heads, we had increased distribution of those as well, 216 in 2023 versus the 180 the year before. And then moving on to the fun stuff, I say, the education and outreach, which is just communication in all ways, shapes, and forms. And so this is the laundry list I share every year, but this is all stuff that I do throughout the year, so I like to include it. And we won't go over everything, but we'll touch on some of the highlights. Education and outreach, we certainly use traditional media, radio, TV, and then some of the digital ads. We are once again KHAZ studio sponsors, so every Thursday morning I do a live interview with Teresa Trapp, and we did 48 of those in 2023. Social media continues to be growing, so we did grow in all of these areas, trying to promote those as much as I can, and these are just a few of the examples of some of the posts that were made in 2023, trying to encourage people to visit the website whenever I can, or other areas that they would need to refer to, like the poster contest and things like that. Speaking of our website, 2023 brought a new look to watersmarthays.com, so if you haven't looked at that recently, it looks a little different than it did last year, and so some time was spent getting that the way it looks now. And moving on to some of our programs, 4-H Water Ambassadors. While we did not train any new water ambassadors in 2023, the water ambassadors that we had were very active. And so this is a program that started back in 2020, 2021 timeframe. And these kids are kids that go through some training. They then take that training and teach others. So this is Lizzie. She is doing a presentation on Freddie the Fish. She actually did that for 4-H Day, which is one of the competitions that the kids can be involved in 4-H. And I know that presentation went on to regionals. So then she went to Phillipsburg and did that there. The kids helped a lot with World Water Day Fun Fest, and we kept them busy there. And they even promoted the 4-H Water Ambassador program at 4-H Discovery Days in Manhattan this year. So we had a couple of water ambassadors there promoting that to other 4-Hers throughout the state. So I know I've heard from some of the 4-H agents that there is interest in expanding the program, which I think is great. So we may see that expanded to some other counties, especially in northwest Kansas. The kids took it upon themselves to plan a school talk with O'Laughlin classes. And so they were there sharing different water. I don't know why the pictures are so small in here, but they are. So water conservation topics at O'Laughlin. School presentations, we were again very busy with school presentations in 2023. We had the opportunity last year to go into every science class for 6th grade at Hayes Middle School, which was a lot of presentations. But we did that, and we promoted the water poster contest at the same time. So we had a huge turnout for that, which I'll talk about in a minute. Stacy and I partner, Stacy Minson, our watershed specialist, partner a lot. And so we were asked to do an interview with K-State Ag Today. And that interview led to a news story by K-State Research and Extension, which was then picked up by Kansas Farmer. And so we had a lot of media in 2023, if you recall, and so that's a good thing. I was asked to be a table presenter at the Dane G. Hansen Community Foundation Forum, and that led to an article in that Northwestern Today magazine. So that was a great article and good publicity for Hayes. Moving on to some of our other longtime programs now, the Fix a Leak Week Leak Detective Program, we handed out 1,716 toilet dye tabs to all the elementary kids in Hayes. So that includes Holy Family and all of USD 49. And we will be doing that again this year. So that is a popular one. I try to provide prizes to each school for 2 kids if they turn in those slips telling us whether they found a leak or not. And of the reported ones, we had 21 leaks found. World Water Day Fun Fest was moved back to Sternberg Museum for 2023. Again, a huge turnout. I'm always amazed at how many people we get to come from 10 to noon for that program. And it wouldn't be possible without all of the community partners that help with that. So I always want to give a shout out to all of those people that serve at those tables. And again, we had great publicity with this event this year. Hayes Post featured a story about the World Water Day Fun Fest, interviewed one of our water ambassadors, and she did a great job. And then KWCH was there and did an interview with Stacy and I, and also this cute kid that some of you might recognize. The water poster contest was one for the record books. We had more posters in 2023 than we've ever had, 629. The year prior, we had 337. So we were a little overwhelmed, but it was a great problem to have. We had Use Your Water Smarts as the theme, and so we had a lot of brains. And of course, our favorite mascot, Water Smart Wally, was in several of the posters. And we again displayed these at Tri-Central Office Supply on Main Street throughout the month of May for Art Walk, and then again at the Ellis County Fair. So those were seen far and wide at those places. We had our award ceremony back at Sternberg, which thank you all for being there to be a part of that, and we celebrated with cookies and punch. This year will be our 10th year, so we may do something a little extra special. We'll see. We held a Water Smart environmental tour in April, where we had over 50 people participate in that, and we had Fort Hayes buses take them around to the water treatment plant, the water reclamation and reuse plant, and then we went out to a farm south of town to learn about some of the water quality efforts that are going on there.
Holly, excuse me, who are the usual attendees of that?
It's just the general public.
Really?
We had, we had older couples, we had even some kids, we had a father and a daughter. It just is, anyone is welcome. So
Very
we
good.
advertise it as a public event, and they can come to the event. So we'll probably repeat that. It was a good event. It was rainy that day, so it wasn't the best weather, but we still had a good.
I mean, it was the best weather.
Yeah.
It was the best weather. Well, and so I'm bringing this up again. So I think when we throw events, it rains. At least it did in 2023. We sponsored a Larks game, and it rained. So it wasn't the best attendance at that Larks game, but Stacy and I thought, oh, well, if this is what it needs
Yeah.
to
Just
rain,
keep planning those events.
we'll go with it, because
Or
at that
raise.
point it was really, really dry. So we were happy to do that. But we were at the Larks game in June. promoting water conservation and water quality topics. And then, of course, I didn't mention, but I also got the opportunity to testify for the R9 ranch hearing. That was in July, and then moving on to Go Truck Go. Big, huge event. Over 600 people attended once again, so I like to be where the people are. So we were there once again promoting water conservation. And then we sponsored a Fort Hays football game on Veterans Day. So we were promoting water conservation at the football game on Veterans Day, and it was a big turnout for that game. And of course, Water Smart Wally is always making the rounds. And then the Governor's Water Conference, again, we were a sponsor for that conference, and so we had a booth promoting some of our topics that we deal with here in the city. And one of the things that I got to do was present about the Water Ambassador Program. And as part of that, I had 2 water ambassadors come with me, and they actually got to present also. So for a high school kid to present at a Governor's Water Conference is a pretty big deal.
Pretty big deal.
So they did an awesome job. I was really proud of them. Jonas Kern from Barton County, and then Jessica Fireherm from Ellis County. And then Welcome Home Buckets. We partner with the Chamber on this project, continuing to do that. 181 buckets were distributed in 2023, and we include information about water conservation programs here in Hays with that bucket program. And as always, there's so many other things that I could talk about and be here forever, but I've heard you have a long meeting, so we're going to keep it short. And moving forward, we're going to just keep doing what we're doing, trying to continue with our partnerships. I've got some kind of exciting new things coming up with Stacy Minson this spring. We were a part of a proposal she put in for K-State 105 funding. And so I have some funds available now that I can bring in someone to do some irrigation system audits this spring. So be looking for more information about that. But we will keep spreading the message and trying to continue to improve things. And if you have ideas, I'm open to ideas. So if there's something new that we need to try, maybe rain sensor rebates aren't the way to go. I don't know, but we'll keep moving forward. So with that, I'll take any questions.
What do you do with your spare time?
What's that?
I do have a comment on that, the sprinkler system. Having have you reached out to the installers of underground sprinkling?
I send the information to them. That's the extent of what I've done so
I just
far.
make a phone call
Yeah.
if they suggest. I mean, I think that's the quickest way to get to that customer. Great work. Great work.
Holly, I have a question. With the 21 leaks that were reported, do we know how many of those were repaired?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
I didn't
follow up.
figure.
I'm guessing if it was most likely a toilet leak, because that's what they're testing for, and so usually they'll fix it. I mean,
Yeah.
There's 22. Because I took them home, as I always do. Danny always wants me to bring them home. We have replaced a toilet because of that.
so it's a good awareness campaign, if
Yeah.
nothing else. So hopefully those leaks are fixed.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You guys are always doing a great job and always busy. And yeah, getting to watch those 4-H ambassadors in person is it's incredible. Seeing, I mean, they're just as passionate as you are, which is crazy. But yeah, you guys do amazing work. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hey, Holly, I want to ask you real quick. On the washing machine rebates, the goal is to buy a more efficient washing machine. Can you actually buy a washing machine that's not high efficient now? I mean,
You can. There's not as many available, but some of the top load models, I'm not going to name brands
yeah,
right now,
no,
but
yeah.
there are certainly options available that are not.
So it's
water
still
efficient.
worth having the rebate. I didn't want to be throwing money out if it's obviously that's all there's out there.
There's an option to purchase an inefficient one. So
Okay, I
I
did not
think-
know that. So, okay.
Yeah.
And it might also help you make the decision to, I have one that I might want to replace.
Mhm.
The rebate might help incentivize
Sure.
you to go ahead and replace
Yeah.
that.
And I will also say, with the approval or really close to the R9, I think, a lot of the stuff you guys do is what was talked about. So I think what you guys have done over the years has helped us win the approval. So thank you guys very much.
thank you.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you much.
Next item on the agenda would be essential air service at the Hays Regional Airport.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jamie Salter, Director of Hayes Regional Airport. I am here to talk about Essential Air Service. A little background on that. It's a program that is administered by the U.S. Department of Transportation. They basically subsidize the flights to the actual air carrier for communities like ours, smaller communities, rural communities, communities that wouldn't necessarily have air service if the program didn't exist. So we have partaken in that for years. We had a, let's see here, our current contract obviously is with SkyWest, coming in 2 flights a day. They're obligated to 12 flights a week. They do fly 14 flights and will continue to do so as far as we're concerned, or as far as they've let us know. Current contract expires on July 31st. And don't anticipate any sort of changes. I guess Toby has probably let you or made you aware that schedule change is going to happen April 1, which would be a RON or an overnight, remain overnight aircraft. They'll come in at 11:05 p.m. and then they'll depart in the morning at 6:42 a.m. That is both to and from Denver, and then we'll still have midday that would be to and from Chicago. USDOT solicited proposals for Hayes. Effective contract would be August 1 of this year, and received 3 proposals. That would be SkyWest Airlines, Denver Air Connection, which you may or may not be familiar with. That's another jet service proposal, and then Boutique Air. So this is the first time we've gotten another jet service operator that's put in for a proposal, so obviously a good sign, even just on the pilot shortage front, that is looking better for air carriers. Boutique had included, and I put on here, they had 2 different aircraft that they were going to fly or had proposed in their submittal. One of those is a single engine aircraft, or PC-12. Both are 8 to 9 passengers, but the PC-12 is a single engine aircraft, which is not meeting the minimum standards for the Essential Air Service program. We're entitled as a community, unless we waive that right, entitled to twin engine service. So we have never waived that right. I would not suggest or recommend waiving that, because you waive it indefinitely. So obviously affects any type of award for the future. SkyWest is who I am here to ask you to support. We would submit community comments. USDOT weighs those heavily, and essentially we would submit those to the Department of Transportation, and then they typically award in the springtime. Usually it's very quick that we would hear something back. SkyWest obviously has been here since 2014, so 10 years. They've provided safe, reliable service. COVID, pandemic obviously put a hiccup in nothing was normal, especially from a transportation or air transportation standpoint. SkyWest did have the lowest subsidy, I'd like to point out, of the 3 proposals, and then also has Denver Air Connection that included 2 aircraft as well. One was a 50-passenger jet aircraft, and the other was a 30-passenger. So SkyWest has the most seat capacity guaranteed for it to be included with the proposals. Denver Air Connection I hadn't put on here, but they did 4-year proposal. Boutique Air did 4-year proposal, which is not typical, not what we've seen. Usually it's 2 or 3 years. SkyWest did 3 years. Last time they did 3 years, that was the first time they had done 3 years. So obviously, good sign still. Current contract, like I said, 3-year, expires July 31st of this year. The USDOT had solicited proposals January 8th, left that open for a month. They were due back February 8th, and then our comments are due March 11th. And again, DOT weighs several different items to determine who to award the bid to, but community comments are one of the most heavily weighed. The input from that is the most heavily weighed as far as in their selection process. And then carrier selection would be spring. New contract effective date would be August 1. These are the options the commission has available. And this is the action requested. I will stand for any questions.
I move to authorize the mayor to submit the letter of recommendation for the reselection of SkyWest Airlines to provide essential air service at the Hayes Regional Airport for a 3-year contract period effective August 1st, 2024.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrick, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Any comments?
Jamie, do you solicit letters from the heaviest users in town, like Hayes Medical Center and the university and so forth, to send in all this, or does it do any good?
Not typically. In the past, we haven't. We can. I mean, looking out at DOT, you can see what other communities have done. Many of them do just as we've done in the past, where it's just the sponsor, whoever owns that, is the one that's putting that forward. Others have chamber or things like that. So if that is the direction, we can.
Well, I
sure
just
do
don't, I
that.
think it couldn't hurt. I'm sure that the hospital is very interested in continuing the air service, as would be the university. But if it's not something you normally do, you don't go out of the way to do it.
Didn't we have the chamber in 4 days do something when we were trying to get SkyWest?
The last time we did it was when SkyWest was selected because they were more expensive than Great Lakes. And so in addition to the community comments, we thought that it might be helpful to have some recommendations from the heavy hitters. But Jamie's right. It's, I mean, DOT is assuming that if they get a recommendation from you, you speak for the community.
Right.
And this is a good sign that SkyWest is coming back saying we can do all this with all the.
Absolutely.
Post-pandemic
We
stuff.
don't talk about it, but they still have the intent to terminate notice out there. So this is definitely, SkyWest has just started submitting proposals for the communities that they had the intent to terminate notice on. So obviously a very good sign that pilot shortage, or they're at least starting to backfill that.
And are a majority of the communities that they serviced before continuing to, or planning to continue with them?
SkyWest is the heaviest hitter in the EAS market.
Awesome. I had a question outside of this, just because I heard it today, and this is good timing for you. So the Kansas Senate today approved a bill tripling the amount of money that goes towards public airports. Do we get any of that for grant funding and whatnot?
A lot of that is part of the airport improvement program. So
Okay.
the FAA reauthorization, Senate had passed their bill, the House had passed theirs, and then they have to decide on what they'll pass together. But there was additional funding for both House and Senate bills. But that's how our airport improvement program funding, the typical funding that we get for airport grants
Okay.
and projects, that's typically how that happens, FAA reauthorization. So the last time they did it was in 2018. It was a 5-year authorization, so it was extended a few times here. So that is due, I believe March 8th is when they're ideally would like to have it submitted, or approved and through. That it holds up things on our end. Everything else has kind of been paused, and they've just been keeping it the same as it was in the past. But from a grant perspective or awarding grants, I'm glad we don't have anything that's, really contingent upon that award, like, reconstruction of the crosswind runway. It's just design at this point, so it doesn't hold that stuff up.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Jamie, how long have you been in your current role?
5 years.
I said it last week, I'll say it again. You just do a wonderful job, and you have, I remember the first time and how scared you were when you made your first presentation. And you are so informed and confident. We really appreciate everything you
It's
do.
my pleasure.
Absolutely. Good. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda, general nuisance and inoperable vehicle abatement at 1111 Centennial Boulevard.
Good afternoon, Jesse Rohr, Director of Public Works. So the first of my items today is to discuss the continued nuisance and inoperable vehicle abatement for 1111 Centennial Boulevard. As we talked about last week, and I'll show you some pictures here in a minute, we've gone through the process as required by city ordinance and state statute. There continues to be some general nuisance items, or what we consider general nuisance by ordinance, and an inoperable vehicle on the property as well. If we do have to take action and abate the conditions before the owner would do so, any of those costs of abatements are passed on to the property owner. And then, as you can see in the bottom bullet point here, I always like to show that we've had several cases over the last 9 or 10 or so years on this property. So these are some pictures from today. I will say that the owner has been out there this week, working on some vehicles, doing some things. The stuff in the trailer is still there. The vehicle may or may not be inoperable at this point. We will verify that. I would recommend that the commission continue to consider the action to pass the resolution, which still gives the owner 10 days to take care of it. Simply applying a cover over it won't make it operable. But if they have it operable by definition in city ordinance, then it could possibly stay, but we'll make that determination at a later date. So the following pictures are just pictures from the past. This was from last week. For the most part, there's little to no change. Like I said, a couple of the other vehicles, all the other 4 vehicles are considered operable today. So just passing a resolution doesn't necessarily mean vehicles will disappear. They will just become operable. So your options, as you have with any nuisance case brought before you, would be to approve the resolution allowing the nuisance to be abated, provide us other direction. But I would recommend that regardless of the conditions today and the work done, that you pass the resolution, and then we'll work with the property owner over the next 10 days to either ensure it's taken care of, or we'll step in and take action.
I move to approve resolution number 2024-004 to abate the nuisance items and the inoperable vehicle located on the property at 1111 Centennial Boulevard, 10 days after the approval date.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Jacobs. Pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I just have one question. In the 8 other nuisances that have been, are they over the same trailer and inoperable vehicle, or
There's been a
different?
variety. We've had weeds, we've had backyard weeds, we've had tree growth in the alley, a variety of things over the years. So.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda, inoperable vehicle abatement at 206 East 14th Street.
Okay, another abatement possible here, and this is at 206 East 14th. This one is for several vehicles that are on the property. Again, we've gone through the proper notification, the proper steps required by ordinance. And as you can see on this one, we've had several code cases over the years, a majority of them for grass and weeds and that sort of thing, trees. I will say that since the work session last week, at least 3 of the vehicles have been removed. One of our staff had a phone conversation with the owner this week. He intends to have the remaining vehicles removed by this weekend. We're hoping that happens and we don't have to take any action on the property. So this is from today. Like I say, even on the picture on the right is from the rear of the property off the alley there. A lot of removal of even some nuisance items that we hadn't even cited yet. We're taken care of. He did say that there were 3 remaining vehicles here, and then there's one you can't see would be removed as well, again, by this weekend. So this was last week, and you can see the picture on the right, that picture compared to this one here. Definitely some organizing and some things occurred there. At one time, there was probably at least 9 vehicles on the property, so I think we're down to 4 currently. So we've had progress. We expect more progress. The weeds and things you see in here, those are all taken care of as well already. And like I say, some of the vehicles have been removed. So with this one, you would have the same options as the last one there. Again, we would ask that you consider the resolution. It's our hopes that the property owner takes care of it and we don't have to touch it, and we can just go on. And but if not, we have the resolution to back us up in case we have to do any removal.
I move to approve resolution number 2024-005 to abate all the inoperable vehicles located on the property at 206 East 14th Street, 10 days after the approval date.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Ritter. Comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Thank you, Jesse. Next item on the agenda, the Grove Engineering Service Agreement. Jesse again.
Still me. So by now we're all familiar with the Grove Hayes development that is actually located near 27th and Canterbury, north of the Hayes Med facility. So a little bit of background on this particular development. This past year, we did approve, we being the city and the governing body did approve the plating, zoning, and annexation of this property for the proposed development of the Grove. The development does include the plat of the subdivision currently provides lots for 50 single-family homes, 8 duplex lots, and then 6 lots for apartment buildings that are intended each to contain 6 units. And then the big thing there would be the Grove Community Center as well. Along with this, of course, we need to install some infrastructure, some streets, water, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer. And there's nearly a half mile or so of those particular utilities. And if approved, we expect and are hopeful that construction will start sometime summer of 2024. So here's a concept plan. Again, you can see up in the, what would be the northeast or the top left corner there would be the apartment complex there. Just to the right of that, we have 8 lots for duplexes, and then the remainder are single-family home lots. Then the community center would be kind of in the center there towards the west side of the lot or towards Canterbury. So the reason we're here today is to talk about the engineering services agreement so that the engineer can get to work designing the infrastructure that's required for the development to occur. So Driggs Design Group, they have prepared a contract for the engineering services, which would include civil engineering, contractor bid solicitation once the design is completed, and then they would help with bid review and final recommendation before an award of bid is brought back to you for consideration. The contract with Driggs is for an amount not to exceed $152,800. This is a very standard sort of agreement we use for this type of development. The project, if awarded, would be funded out of capital projects. And as you probably know, there's been an RHID application submitted, and the overall project will be funded through the RHID, again, subject to approval in the coming months. So your options today would be to approve the engineering services agreement as drafted and submitted, or not. And this would be the action requested.
I move to approve the engineering services agreement with Driggs Design Group for an amount not to exceed $152,800 for the development of the Grove.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Berry, second by Commissioner Cunningham. Comments? Pretty straightforward.
Pretty straight.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Still Jesse. Next item on the agenda, WDG Addition Developer Agreement.
Okay, another development we're working with on the opposite side of town is the WDG addition, and today we want to talk about the developer agreement, again, which would assist with getting water and sewer infrastructure installed for the proposed development. So the location of this one is north of I-70, just on the west side of Hall. As you can see, there are 2 platted lots here on the west side, and sewer and water will be run along those lots. And here you can see, I'll point out a couple things here. So sewer itself is kind of this green line here running along here. Sewer does have to, it ends right here at my arrow. It does have to cross under I-70 and then continue north to the north end of the development. Water is currently located here at the corner of 48th and Hall Street, so it would tie on here and again continue to the north side of the development. For this particular development, the WDG addition, the plating, zoning, and annexation was also approved for this one in 2023. The north lot, as I showed you the 2 lots there, the north and south one, the north lot, which is comprised of about 25 acres, is actually slated for development for the National Guard Readiness Center. And in order for that to happen, development requires extension of water and sewer. So as is typical with this sort of development, the developer, in this case Worth Development Group LLC, has proposed a developer agreement with the city, which would allow for the extension of the water and sewer mains. It would also allow for the city, per our development policy, to pay for the upsizing in both the water and sewer lines from 8 inches to 12 inches. And then a couple items that are within here. The developer has actually asked for an exception to the current adopted policy, which would allow the developer to recoup a share of the original construction costs from any future user tying into these lines. The current policy allows for that for a period of 10 years, and the developer has asked to extend that to a period of 18 years. If that does occur, regardless of the time period, that proportional share depends on where connection occurs within the development for abutting properties. The estimate, the total estimate for water and sewer is just over 1.2 million for this project. The city share is estimated to be 359,260. The agreement is so structured that it would be an amount not to exceed $359,260. And the cost for the city oversizing would be paid out of water reserves and sewer reserves as seen on the screen. Before I get to the options here, one thing I want to mention too is that a future RHID development for adjoining properties that aren't part of this single lot would be able to recoup costs through an RHID. So if they paid up front, they would be able to recoup those costs through an RHID financial incentive at a later date. So your options would be to allow or authorize the city manager to enter into the agreement with Worth Development Group, or provide other direction. And as part of that, again, you would have to, we'd ask that you consider the time frame extension request by the developer from the 10 years allowed by policy to 18 years. So, any questions? There's a lot of information there in a short amount of
Could
time.
you go back and explain what we talked about, and you ran by the works about how the cost would be apportioned?
Yeah, so I'll give an example here. So if utilities are built as proposed, they're both run to the north end of the lot. There's kind of two components of this. One, and the way the development agreement is structured, is the actual crossing under I-70. So there's a roughly 300 foot or so crossing there. That particular, the cost of that crossing would be shared amongst, if development occurs and there is a reimbursement, would be shared amongst 3 property owners. This one here, this one over here to the east of Hall Street, and then this one here. All 3 of these benefit directly from that. None of them can develop without that crossing, which is why the share would be
Just
across
that
the board
portion.
equal. That portion would be shared 1/3 each. It's about, the estimate is about $48,000 per property. So on the development side of things then,
Hold on, just,
yes.
before you go too far, on that 1/3, is that for the 18 years, or no matter what, it's a third?
No, that would be if development occurs in that 18 years. So after 18 years, if you approve the 18-year extension, there's no reimbursement. It's off the table. And the current developer, they're aware, they know there's no guarantee of seeing any money recouped. It's only under the right scenario within the time frame. So the other part I mentioned about development, so I'll pick an example. So if this property owner, maybe they chunk off a corner right here to develop, they would, and let's say they tie in the sewer and water right here at this point, they're only going to share the footage from the south end of their property to wherever that connection is made. So if it's, again, within that 10 or 18 years, if they continue north, make another connection within that 18 years, that additional could be added to it. If there's no development or connection within that 18 years, it wouldn't be reimbursed at all. One more example, if, let's say they cut a corner off this side of the property here, which of course would require sewer to be extended from here over to this point. In that case, they're paying for the cost of that sewer here. They would be eligible for reimbursement from others that would connect to them at that point. So it's kind of a kind of a shuffle of how things could occur, and it's difficult to foresee. It all depends on how things might develop and when they might develop. So I don't know if that kind of helps explain some of the potential there. Like I say, the developer is paying 100% of the cost up front.
Right.
We're reimbursing for the oversizing, and then any costs are subject to development and when they occur.
Is the proportion of reimbursement based on, I mean, is there like a dollar per foot that you go up that could be reimbursed to the developer?
Yeah, and so within the developer agreement, what's with it, as I think it's labeled attachment A, has the total cost and the total footage, and so that cost would be broken down into a linear foot cost. If they only put in, the property owner to the east, there's 1,650 foot total there. If they only develop 600 foot of it and make a connection at that point, they would pay that per foot cost for that 600 foot.
How did,
Go ahead.
I was going to ask, how did you come to the determination from 8 to 12 on the oversizing? What is that based on?
We actually had bids from the contractor for a 12-inch and an 8-inch.
Okay.
So we had both, and so the difference between them. And we checked back on past projects, and it's actually 29.5% of the total project cost. And we went back to most other past projects, and we're right around that 30% over and over again. So we're confident with those numbers and the differences in them.
And is the 12-inch big enough to handle whatever development may go out there?
It is, and that's why, if 8-inch would have been sufficient, we would let the developer put in 8-inch. We would have no city share. But since we're poising ourselves in the city and other developments for future development, we knew that a minimum 12-inch would be required, and 12-inch will serve the development there. And so that's why we were kind of the purpose behind the share of the oversizing.
I think Toby keeps seeing me shivering up here. It's cold in here. This it seems like a really simple situation, has caused me more thought process through the whys or why nots. To me, and I think I've kind of confirmed it a little bit, our goal is to have development. Our goal is to have that property developed. The 10 or the 18 years doesn't seem, if somebody's going to develop that, the risk is all on the developer from day one. If nobody does anything else, he's paying for it all, and that's it. If somebody wants to develop to the east, if they don't want to participate, why would we ever think they were going to do it, pay the whole thing? Does that make sense? Does my question make sense?
Yeah, I think how you can look at it is, okay, we have the spectrum, and on one side of the spectrum is the city just puts in all the infrastructure to allow for development. Well, A, we can't afford that,
Right.
and B, we'd put it in the wrong spot. So we put it in, and then somebody wanted it over here. So the next step is we let development lead the infrastructure. And in this case, development's leading, and you guys have a provision that allows for a recouping, which might incentivize a developer to make that. And then the other end of the spectrum is you just let the developer do it and take that chance. And so I think you're right. If somebody doesn't want to pay a connection fee 10 years down the road, they're not going to pay the cost to put the
Put it all
entire
in.
infrastructure in. So in this case, you're incentivizing an outcome that you know is happening versus incentivize something that may or may not happen in the future.
Well, and I think that's always our goal, is to look at the outcomes that we're incentivizing. And this seemed like a really simple thing, and I kept thinking it's not, but it is. Now that I finally got it in my brain, it's pretty simple.
Right, and one thing I might add is, kind of to add to what Toby mentioned, when you look at the total cost of the $1.2 million and a share, say for this development here, of $350,000 to $370,000 of a $1.2 million project, to have that infrastructure in place is probably a pretty good deal in the long run.
Exactly. That was where I was coming from.
If they make that connection.
And they could choose not to develop it.
And they might not have
okay.
to connect to that. They may have infrastructure lined out in a different way in there.
Right.
That they may not even connect, right?
Okay. I'm good. you.
I mean, I don't even know what to say.
Did we have a motion yet?
No, I don't think we
Okay,
did, actually. Let's
do that,
go
so
there.
at least discuss. I move we authorize the city manager to enter developer agreement with the Worth Development Corporation LLC, Development Group LLC, for the construction of public water and sanitary sewer mains along Hall Street adjacent to the WGD addition, with the city participating in the cost of oversizing the water and sewer lines at a cost not to exceed $359,260 to be funded out of the water reserves, $102,749, and sewer reserves, $256,511.
So,
And would you like to state a time period for that agreement as well? I did not have that within
That's,
the wording.
The 18, put the 18 years in for a period.
Okay.
For,
With-
how do you want me to say it?
Is that what they agreed upon, 18 years?
that's what the developer would like.
developer would like,
They
yes.
requested 18 years.
Requested 18 years.
Reimbursement option.
Yes.
For a period not to exceed 18 years. Say that? Is that what
There
you
you go.
want, Kim?
Who seconded that?
I'll second the amendment.
We know the intention.
Okay.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Reuter. You know, and Mr. Rito, I had a conversation with you last week, and I don't know if we agree on it, but I actually understand his reasons why I think he's against the 18 years. He thinks it might stymie the growth. But the more I look at it, to me, the developer's taking a big chance, and we're getting north of the interstate right there. So for me, that's exciting. I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, I've also spent a lot of time thinking and looking into this, like you said, maybe making something harder than it needs to be or not. And I also appreciate, I've had a conversation with Mr. Riedel as well. And I agree, growth is it's what we all desire. That's what we all want. I think what I've come to the conclusion of thinking is what was basically already stated, is if any development north or to the east of there was going to occur without this development, they're going to incur all of the cost.
That's where I'm at.
So then it's hard for me not to think that the person who puts in the first cost should not have a chance to recoup some of that. So yeah, I guess I'm having trouble finding the true con to the 18.
I think it's mostly just the 10 was an arbitrary decision of a number.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think that 10 years is necessarily that somebody's going to say, gosh, if I could just delay for 10 years. I don't think that would be, I don't necessarily think that would happen, but certainly if anybody's going to do any developing, they're not going to, and they want to do it, they're not going to arbitrarily. Life's pretty short. And if you're going to get any benefit out of developing something, you're not going to wait 18 years to do it.
We never know.
You know, I mean, that would be,
My hope is we have incentives out there to incentivize whoever wants to tie on to it
Right.
to use those to.
Exactly.
so I guess I'm not really stressed about 18 or 10. I just don't, I think if somebody wants to do something, they're not going to wait 18 years or 10 years to save $300,000 on a major development.
We hope not.
Yeah, and I think what Jesse mentioned was important. If other properties around there looking at residential development that an RHID could cover,
Exactly.
Could help.
infrastructure, or if there's a benefit district, that could be wrapped up in the special assessments and the bond for that too. So there are ways to help recover those costs. It's not solely on the developer.
My hope is that the Mr.'s Worth decide
To do even more.
below, that section below, that would be a great housing opportunity too for the
Well,
city.
And the biggest thing is we can debate this all night, but we have a developer the worst willing to take a chance on growing our community, and to me that should be shown that we appreciate that. So that's where I'm at.
Any investment.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 All right.
Passes 5-0. Are you good with that? Good with that? Okay. You gave me that look, so I wasn't for sure. Next
Well, I'm
item.
sure you understood all five said yes.
Yes, I was looking at him, so yes, I was. Next item, geez, you got me all confused. Next item on the agenda, solid waste baler and conveyor award a bid. Mr. Jesse again.
One more for me, so. So this last item for you to consider would be for an award bid for a new baler and conveyor at the solid waste recycling facility. So in the 2024 budget, it did include funding, actually $120,000 specifically, for the purchase of a new baler for the solid waste division. We use that baler to run our cardboard and paper through and bale it for prepare it for hauling. The current baler we're using now was actually put in service in 2001 and has been a great baler. However, it is showing signs of wear, quite significant signs of wear, and has reached the end of its useful life. So, and as we talked about, and as you all know, this is our second attempt over the last couple of years, with purchasing a baler for the facility. So a little bit on that. In 2021, we did actually go through this process then as well. Awarded a bid to a company called Nex-Tech LLC out of Gainesville, Texas. That baler was delivered in December of 2022. It came about 9 months later. So from day one, even before the company left the site after install, the baler just would not operate. Had parts falling off and breaking, and could never get it to operate sufficiently. And after several attempts of working with the vendor on repairs and failed attempts at repairs or lack of any work at all from them, the baler was removed from the facility, and our old 2001 model baler was reinstalled and is still currently in service. So that this baler, after this awarded bid, we are working with our city attorney. Could see litigation, try to get some funds back. We did not pay everything. We've withheld about not quite $29,000 from this baler, and we'll hopefully work through that soon. So here's just a couple pictures of the current baler. This is actually where the product goes up the conveyor into the baler and is compacted into the bales, as you can see on the far right of the screen there. Here's just another image there. The product is dumped into the pit here at the bottom of the conveyor, up the conveyor, and into the compactor. Here's a couple images of the proposed baler. That baler does carry a warranty period of 12 months labor, 24 months parts, and 36 months on the structural components of the baler itself. If awarded from the company with the low bid, the estimated delivery time is actually towards the end of April, so we could see this within between 60 and 90 days or so from award. So we did put this out to bid, and we got 3 qualified bids for this baler. The low bid was from Reaction Distributing Incorporated from Ontario, Canada, at a bid of $124,811. All this company does is solid waste equipment. So they specialize in compactors and balers. That's what they do. So they are fully equipped. They are not just a dealer, but they are a manufacturer as well. So they build them and they sell them. Funding, I mentioned earlier that we have $120,000 budget for 2024. The item did come in just over budget at $124,811. I will mention that there are adequate funds within solid waste reserves to cover the nearly $5,000 over budget. And your options would be to award the bid to Reaction Distributing as recommended. You could reject all bids or direct us otherwise, but this would be the action requested.
I move to award the bid for the purchase of a new baler as bid from Reaction Distributing, Inc. in the amount of $124,811 to be funded out of solid waste reserves.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Reuter, second by Commissioner Cunningham. We're going to keep the old one just in case, right?
We did not. We chose not to list it as a trade.
Thank you.
We went out to bid, which we do sometimes. We'll hold on to it just a while longer, make sure we're up and running adequately. I hope we can ship it off soon after that, though. So.
And you won't buy anything from Texas again, right?
Not from Nex-Tech, that's for sure.
Because did we ever hear back from them on what it was? Like what caused it to go down? That it was brand new.
There were lots and lots of issues. we just feel it was mostly design and engineering flaws within the baler itself. We had parts fall off the machine. We had shear bars break. We had hydraulic issues with it. It would take us up to an hour and a half to make a bale at times with two staff members. With the baler now, we make a bale in 12 to 15 minutes with one person. So there were a lot of issues, numerous issues. We had a lot of phone and email correspondence with that particular manufacturer, and a lot of failed attempts, a lot of broken promises on repairs and fixes, and
We did not pay completely for the old new one.
Right.
You say that?
that's right. Yeah, we like I say, we've withheld about the final payment of $29,000. I will say that this baler from Reaction Distributing, they are not asking for any payment until fully installed and operational. So I had another conversation with them today, and they said that's how they do business. They don't feel they feel a reputable company should be able to absorb that cost while they're waiting for the install before they get paid. They said that's how they do business, and they wouldn't expect payment before we have the baler on the floor and fully operational.
Those Canadians are just nice people.
I've been a commissioner for a while, and I don't, Jesse, you're the calmest guy, but I have felt the tension.
Yes, I have too,
All
actually.
your presentation.
It's been a challenge.
But it's been a cool breeze. It's calmed them down.
Right.
Yeah, it's
From
definitely
the
been
here now.
yeah, it is.
So with the old baler that we're currently using now, recycling processes are still the same for citizens and
Mhm.
businesses alike.
Yes, it's still the same. Nothing will change there. And when time for install does come, it's a 1.5 to 2 day process. So we'll continue collecting like normal. We can hold about 3 days worth of product out there, and so we intend to have no break in operations or collections from customers.
I feel like I've asked this before. Do we collect commercial recycling?
We do not, except
Okay.
from city facilities. We do have a little bit that comes out there dropped off occasionally.
Okay.
We get a lot. There's a lot of traffic out there at that
Mhm.
facility, from residences and some businesses alike. So. But we don't collect from businesses.
I know a lot of people really appreciate our recycling program, so
Oh, yeah.
appreciate you guys looking into this.
Mm-hmm.
Does Reaction Design, do they know that they're stirring up problems because you're now going to ask every company we buy big equipment from to install it before they get anything?
I hope so, and
That's a good point.
they are fully aware of the past issues, and they've actually done their own research on the company in the past. And just from pictures they saw of their baler, he mentioned a list of potential issues, and we had every one of those. So,
Wow. Wow.
gave me confidence, and they knew what they
good.
were talking about.
All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
I
Passes 5-0 for Jesse's new baler.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse.
Marvin's new baler. Look at him
Marvin's new baler.
smiling
Sorry,
as he's
Marvin's new
walking out.
baler. All right, next item on the agenda, am I opening?
Yes, yes, you can open.
Okay, I'm going to open the public hearing for the neighborhood revitalization plan.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Jared Kalkelman, Management Analyst. So today we're discussing the NRP public hearing and the expansion resolution. So some real quick background. Hayes has had the NRP program in place since 2002. It was most recently updated in 2017. The NRP works as an economic incentive by providing property tax rebates for 10 years to property owners who make improvements that raise the assessed values of their property in order to help encourage new construction or the rehabilitation and redevelopment of existing properties. As the NRP is currently structured, residential properties are required to make a minimum $25,000 investment in order to receive a 65% rebate, while commercial properties are required to make a minimum $50,000 investment with a 95% rebate. So on the left here is the expansion map from 2017 showing what the current NRP area looks like. While on the right is the proposed expansion map we're looking at for today with the expanded area shown in blue. So besides proposing to expand the eligible area. We're also proposing a couple small changes to the official neighborhood revitalization plan guidelines and application. First, we're proposing increasing the application fee for NRP from $100, which is what it's been set at for many years now, almost since the very beginning, to $200 to reflect the work that goes into administering the rebates over the past years. The other change being proposed is changing the rebate formula for properties on the National or State Historical Registry from a 100% NRP rebate to 95%, kind of align with what the percentage already received by commercial properties is and provide some more consistency in administration on that front. So a public hearing is required by statute to be held prior to creating or amending an NRP, so that's what we're doing here. Pending outcome of the public hearing, a resolution can then be approved by the City Commission adopting the amended neighborhood revitalization plan. Once that has theoretically been done, the County Commission and School Board would also have to approve resolutions agreeing to the changes due to the interlocal agreement that all three entities are a part of in participating in the NRP rebate program. So it's always worth remembering that the NRP works as an incentive as a rebate and not an exemption. Only the incremental increase in property values goes towards the percentage of the rebate. So no existing revenues are given up by the city, county, or school district. So these will be the options before you today.
I move closure of the pub.
We need to ask.
Oh, sorry.
David, do you want to talk? No.
Neil?
Nobody else want to talk? No, you
I move closure of the public hearing.
Second that.
Motion by Commissioner Jacobs, second by Commissioner Reuter. Yeah. So now we need approval of a,
I move to approve resolution number 2024-006, adopting the amended neighborhood revitalization plan and incorporating the eligible boundary of the neighborhood.
hold on. Did we,
He didn't take a vote on
we
mine.
didn't take a vote on her, so
sorry.
back up.
Okay.
Put that motion on hold.
All in favor of the motion that,
Yeah.
close the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes 5-0. Carry on.
Okay. I move to approve resolution number 2024-006, adopting the amended neighborhood revitalization plan and incorporating the eligible boundary of the neighborhood revitalization area shown therein.
Second.
Thank you. Motion by Commissioner Cunningham, second by Commissioner Berry. Any comments on that motion?
No, just reiterating that the rebate goes to the property. So if somebody puts their $30,000 into a renovation, they sell it the next year, the rebate still goes to whoever buys the property.
Is there any chance, I know there's some new commercial properties that are in this, that you will send out letters or something to them? I know we don't normally do that, but maybe it would encourage them to consider this, or I guess my thing is, like, some of the owners, these commercial owners, maybe don't even live here in Hayes, so I mean, how would they know about it?
I was thinking last week, this question was asked last week about, or last time we discussed it, about how we notified with the last expansion, and we had talked to some banks and realtors about it. So I was actually thinking about it this week, and I was going to talk with Jesse and Jared about this, but I was thinking about just a short letter with a copy of the program, the new brochure once we get it done, and then send that to all the local banks and realtors, make sure they're aware. That would be the two entities that would be the most apt to get the word out. But I know I'm speaking at the chamber lunch tomorrow, and I plan on bringing it up. So maybe Sarah will help us get the word out too.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Thank you.
But I also know Jesse's staff is pretty good at letting people know that are considering a redevelopment in areas like this that these options are available.
Perfect.
Yeah, which seeing the boost in people using it, I'd say you're doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, I would agree. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. That's over with. Next item on the agenda, progress. We like progress. We know this guy's got progress.
Progress Incorporated.
Progress Incorporated.
Yeah, I like it. Good afternoon, Colin Belzer, Deputy City Manager, and for this month's progress report, some concrete was used by the Service Division to replace curb and gutter and sidewalk along the frontage road on the west side of Canterbury. The trees in the median, you could say, were the root cause.
Yeah, it's getting deep in here. Taking it deep.
Service Division also patched several holes on West 23rd Street after multiple water main breaks occurred in the area. The City of Hayes Stormwater and Water Resource mascots Chitola and Water Smart Wally participated in mascot night at the recent Fort Hays State basketball game.
Sandy wanted to know why you wouldn't let her
I tried to wear
dress
it.
up. You did? You
I-
did,
They
okay.
said no.
We'll have a talk with the department in charge of that. The fire department was invited to lunch with Holy Family elementary students during Catholic School Weeks and pictured as Lieutenant Tyler Brungart. The Northwest Kansas Regional Homeland Security Council replaced the 2008 pickup with a brand new one. Hayes Fire Department has been a regional technical rescue team since 2008. On February 6th, Golden Belt Bank presented a check just over $1,000 to the Hayes Arc Park. So each year, the employees of Golden Belt Bank voluntarily donate funds to Casual Friday, and Golden Belt Bank matches those funds. Those funds are then distributed to various nonprofits throughout the community, and this year they chose the Arc Park. Staff have been cutting back ornamental grasses and perennials. And at the golf course, they pulled cores and rolled several tee boxes to help level the playing surface. And there's general ground repairs. They've replaced a heater in the utility room of the UP Plaza bathroom, and these are some light bulbs being replaced on a light pole at Mount Allen Cemetery. Things are starting to progress rapidly from the IT design and review to the implementation phase of the new fire station. Conduit for fiber connectivity has been installed, and internal building cabling is in the termination stages. Networking equipment will start being introduced over the next 2 to 3 weeks, leading to quality control review and connectivity testing. So all IT-related items are in schedule.
That's got to be on a high.
Yeah,
He is, and that's also proof that department heads write these, and I just read them. Officer Aaron Eskrit joined students at O'Laughlin Elementary on February as part of the Hayes Police Department Adopt a Cop program. Trot companies are on site and have begun the drilling and completion of 14 municipal test wells at the R9 Ranch. Also down there while they're doing this are 2 geologists from Burns and McDonnell. They're on site to monitor the drilling operations, to investigate soil structure, and to collect and process water samples. Staff have repaired water leaks occasionally. Unfortunately, a few too many, but they're going to get under control. So staff repaired water leaks at 1508 Vine Street, as well as 13th and Elm Street. And then they replaced a service line at 2306 Timber Drive. Steve Schmidberger of Water Resources served as Wally's assistant, handing out Smarties and other candy with messages attached encouraging people to visit watersmarthays.com and to be water smart. You can check out more of the fun and see some great dance moves from that evening on the Water Resources Facebook page. The CVB secured a billboard for the Welcome Center at exit 159 on eastbound I-70. This was in response to visitor feedback that they have difficulty finding the Welcome Center when coming to town. Melissa Dixon presented a program on CVB operations for the Family, Career, and Community Leaders of America group. This nonprofit student organization helps youth develop leadership and workplace skills to prepare for both college and careers, with many of these career paths pointing to tourism and hospitality industry. The group's Vice President of Individual Programs, Benjamin Domi, is presenting Melissa Dixon with a certificate of appreciation. On February 7th, Janet Kuhn participated in Destination State House, organized by the Tourism Industry Association of Kansas. So tourism professionals host a lunch and evening reception to meet with legislators on the economic impact of tourism and discuss bills that could affect the travel and tourism industry. And here's Janet with our local Senator Rick Billinger and Representative Barb Wassinger. Hayes recently hosted the Kansas Agricultural and Rural Leaders Group, or CARL, for a multi-day visit. Melissa Dixon served on a panel with Hayes Chamber and DHDC directors for a presentation on how these Hayes entities work together for the good of the community. And for year in review, it's estimated that there was an economic impact on overnight guests of $58 million to the city of Hayes. Over 230,000 hotel rooms were sold. That represents over 500,000 unique visitors. CVB sponsored 52 events, assisted 142 groups, and provided lots of other valuable services to visitors coming to the community.
I know we've shared this, but I'd love to just plaster this everywhere. I mean, this is great info for what you guys do and what happens when people come here. Good stuff.
The TSA screening area access doors were replaced. So the previous glass slider doors were bowing and causing the doors to be very difficult to open or close. So these will, the new system is accordion style and lightweight. And so all TSA employees can easily operate it.
Scary.
The SRE building progress continues to pick up. Exterior doors are being installed. Interior block separation is complete, and HVAC and plumbing are in progress. L&M contractors have begun work just, I think, yesterday to make necessary repairs to the Main Street Bridge. The project consists of concrete and steel repair replacement. Contractor will focus on the concrete decking, which would take several weeks to complete. That'll be the first phase. Excellent progress continues to be made on the new fire station. Roofing is being installed, exterior concrete's being poured, and the project's on schedule for a March completion. That's awesome. And we're going to coordinate schedules with fire department when they can move and everything so we can host an opening, and we'll let you know.
Will they have the
Well,
remodel done here at that time, or was that just the station out there?
That's just the station
Okay.
in March. And then
They want to get half out of here.
Get out of
before
here,
they
yeah.
do the remodel.
Makes sense.
Now, I
With
say-
that open house, is any part of the involved with the community?
Yep, so I
Okay.
know the chamber's already reached out to
Okay.
the fire department, and we'll coordinate that.
Excellent.
So there'll be donuts, right?
That's police.
Whoa, you're gonna pay for that? You're gonna pay for that?
I like donuts.
With that kitchen, they could make some cool stuff.
Oh
They
my
could.
God.
They could have a just
You're gonna be in
full
trouble.
board order.
I probably am. I should have said that. I
Yeah.
apologize.
I got a tour a couple weeks ago, and I know all you guys have got a tour, and it looks
really
great out
nice.
there. It really does.
So I saved this one for last because I'm excited about this personally, but probably one of the most asked questions from utility customers is, why do I get a return envelope with my utility bill when I pay by bank draft? Some people don't realize that the process of folding and inserting the bills are done by machine, not by hand, and our vendor does the printing, folding, sorting, and inserting. And they now have the capability to read a barcode, allowing for the non-insertion of a
Oh,
return envelope
wow.
in those bills that are paid by bank draft.
Hallelujah.
As of today,
That's
First one went
cool.
out today.
That is awesome. That is like one of the most asked questions. I mean, it's
I wonder
just
how many envelopes we will save.
probably millions of dollars, right? Millions, right?
Welcome to the 21st century.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting there. That was great news.
Yeah.
That was great news.
and then another enhancement on there is they added the 12th month to the consumption history, so you can see.
Yes, that's another big one.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
And then other enhancements will be coming later this year.
You're using a lot of water there, Colin.
That's what I was thinking.
That's a little
I
ridiculous.
don't know if you get Holly back in. And
Is that when you filled a swimming pool right there in the middle? or-
I think we do all right. Not the best, but
We'll be the judge of that.
He only used 300 cubic feet last month, so I applaud
That's
him.
pretty
He's
good.
got a little boy in the house.
Oh, he was gone for 3 weeks, though, wasn't he?
sometimes we have a thing called Filthy Friday with him.
Thank you, Colin. These happenings.
Thanks, Colin.
Top that.
Hello, Commissioners. Melissa Dixon from the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Spring has sprung. March is packed. But I know it's already 5:20, so I didn't bring 50 slides. I'm just my top.
4 days starts in
48.
Yeah, Fort Hays starts.
Okay, Colin, did you? The Fox Theater has 3 shows in March. March the 1st, Colby Cooper. The 16th, Paramount. And the 24th, Wyatt Flores. And I know that the downtown businesses enjoy those sold-out shows they've been having, which is, I don't know, about 900 extra people to come partake at your businesses. USA Wrestling Kansas will hold their District 4 Championship in Hayes at Gross Memorial Coliseum. And we've already let our restaurants know to expect 1,200 kids. Now that they allow girls to compete, it has really grown. So,
Awesome.
1,200 kids plus all the families and parents that come with them. The Fort Hays State Encore Series will present Forever Young on March the 6th, 7:30 at Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. And Hayes High will present their spring musical March 7th and 8th, 7:30 p.m., and then a Sunday matinee will follow, and that's at the 12th Street Auditorium. Heartland Gymnastics presents a gymnastics tournament every year. This one, March 8th through 10th, we'll expect over 400 athletes, and thanks to Hayes High for helping us host that. World Water Day Fun Fest will be out at Sternberg Museum, March 12th, 10 to noon. Let us know if you need us out there. That's a fun day. Also at Sternberg Museum, we're really excited about the 25th anniversary celebration, Home Under the Dome. That'll be on the 15th, and it'll also be a free admission day. Lots of special activities, special speakers, and they will open the time
Donuts?
capsule under the T-Rex.
Donuts? Donuts?
Donuts.
I heard cake.
There will be cake. Lots of cake.
KPRG 88.9 will present We Are Messengers, their Where is the Joy Spring Tour concert, March 16th, 7 p.m. at Beach Schmidt Performing Arts Center. And TMP will present their spring musical, The Merchant of Venice, March 22nd and 23rd, 7 p.m., followed by a Sunday matinee, and that'll be at TMP's Dryling Theater. The Harlem Globetrotters return to Hayes for their 2024 World Tour. They'll be at Gross Memorial Coliseum on March the 26th. The Mike Hughes Memorial Sunflower Classic will have 3 days of racing starting March 28th out at RPM Speedway at the fairgrounds. And this year is the 50th annual Kiwanis Easter egg hunt, or race, however you want to say it. March 30th, 9 a.m., and that's on the quad at Fort Hays State University.
30 seconds of fun.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All that work and it gets over so fast.
Yeah. It's great, though.
And then the Sternberg will host an Easter extravaganza with special activities the same day, 6:30 to 8 p.m. And there are more Easter activities online. Check out our website, visit hayes.com. Our calendar is populated with a ton more events.
I guess you're going to have baby snakes and eggs out there, is what you're going to do?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're going to get when you open the egg.
Yeah. I'll pass. Thank you.
Thanks, Melissa.
All right, Commissioner Berry. We don't have a executive session, right? Thank you, Commissioner Berry.
Yeah, it's been a busy, interesting month, and I'm trying not to get too excited about spring being here because I know that there's going to probably be some snow and cold weather coming, but I'm really enjoying the weather outside, and I'm looking forward to the museum's 25th anniversary, and I'm also looking forward to getting back and seeing some Fort Hays basketball tonight.
Yes, good game.
Yeah, a lot going on. Another big thing was the Hayes High girls and boys both won the WAC for basketball. So if you're looking to see another game, you can catch both of them next week on Tuesday and Wednesday. So they get to host a home game going into regionals. So it's pretty big for Hayes High.
That's awesome.
It's never happened before that they both won. Whack.
In the same,
Same
Yeah,
year.
same
In the
year.
same
Yeah.
year. Correct.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah,
Awesome.
that's correct.
Commissioner Reeder?
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to the Youth Leadership Advisory Board. Had a very successful mock election forum. They were able to get almost every single elected official in the county in one room, and all the state representatives and Senator Billinger said they wish they could have been there, but they were actually working in Topeka, so they were doing what they needed to be doing. And they even were able to get Senator Roger Marshall to come on down and talk to the kids, which is crazy. I mean, just what these kids have done is incredible. So for them to align that in like a month's time, 2 months' time, was good on them. So appreciate that. That's all I got.
They are really a special group of kids, and I'm looking forward to the next group that gets to participate. They don't have any fear. They just jump into whatever project they start thinking about until there's a roadblock they can't get past. But they're very good with roadblocks as well. So one project they're taking on, and we're waiting for Secretary of State Scott Schwab to get back to us after January 4th letter. See if this helps. They're wanting to take on possibly the project of lowering local voting age to 16, which some states have that today. And so it's really interesting that they're ready to grab onto that and give it a shot. So I think that'll be really fun, the process of it anyway. We'll see how it ends up.
Yeah, that was an interesting topic when they brought it up, saying, you know, like in Hayes, it's different. We're not property tax heavy, we're sales tax heavy. And they said, well, we do a lot of shopping and retail experience in here, and they want to be involved in that voice. So that's
I thought it
an
was
interesting
very
concept.
cool.
Didn't think of.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Commissioner Ritter, you getting that whole group together, I mean, great
Big
job.
deal.
That was a fun event we had yesterday. So, other than that, I got nothing. Good luck to Fort Hayes and Hayes High. Well, TMP's in playoffs too. So,
I have one last comment.
how about it?
Congratulations to
Oh.
Commissioner
Oh,
Reuter and his
absolutely.
family with the addition of their
Thank
twins.
you.
Yeah,
So we-
congratulations.
Doesn't he look tired? Tired.
I feel your pain. I'm glad it's you.
I'm trying to get to that 30,000 by 30, so I'm working on it.
Thank
two
you.
at
I
a time.
appreciate that.
Although I think the congratulations belong someplace else.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely
said
not
to
me.
him
It's-
and
Oh.
his family,
It-
including
it's
his
for her.
wife.
She's
Yes, yeah.
probably watching, so.
No,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Tori, this one too, not me.
That's awesome. Congratulations.